Greetings everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is your fourth stimulus check update and daily news report. There's a lot of new stimulus information to cover in this video. Financial hardship for millions of Americans, and the federal government acted to alleviate that suffering. Americans were given access to unprecedented amounts of money through stimulus relief checks and programs, in addition to stimulus funds sent out by the Internal Revenue Service. The only catch was that you had to file a tax return or provide information to the IRS to receive a stimulus check, prompting many Americans to do so for the first time. Filing taxes can be a daunting task, collecting all the paperwork and checking all the boxes, so many Americans turn to tax preparers. Little did they know that not all tax preparers are actually qualified to do the job, nor are they required to be. A bipartisan pair of U.S. Representatives Jimmy Panetta and Tom Rice introduced legislation that would give the IRS the ability to hold tax preparers accountable. The Taxpayer Protection and Preparer Proficiency Act would establish minimum proficiency standards that would reduce the risk for families from shoddy tax preparers. After approving President Biden's $3.5 trillion budget plans, Democrats are now set to draft a spending package. It is very likely to be funded by tax hikes on the wealthiest Americans, investors, and large companies. President Biden has also proposed a 28% corporate rate. That is enough money for the government to finance two more $1,400 stimulus checks, similar to the ones most Americans received in the $1.9 trillion stimulus law that President Biden passed during the crisis. Americans have already received 3 stimulus checks since the start of this crisis. The latest round, containing checks up to $1,400, was sent out in March. A Change.org petition has nearly 3 million signatures, urging for a fourth stimulus check of $2,000 for adults and $1,000 for children. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki stated it was up to lawmakers in Congress to finally decide whether another round of checks would be introduced.
And secondly, on the economy, you were asked the other day about the expiration of the extended unemployment benefits. We know that black unemployment in this country is above 8%. It's above 7% in New York, Nevada, Illinois, California. With the expiration, how do you ensure that people in those places still get the support and aid they need?
You're right, and Josh, it's vitally important to look at the fact that there are different circumstances in different states. So if we just take a step back and look at the national landscape on these benefits, in about half of all states, 24 governors have already made the decision to eliminate unemployment benefits. That's a choice they have made. In the remaining 26 states, unemployment levels vary pretty widely, from 3% to 7%, and half of these remaining states have unemployment rates that are already less than 5%. So there are differing needs in different states, and governors are making different decisions. What we're trying to do, and what we announced about 2 weeks ago, but obviously there was a lot of news going on, is our effort to put new tools in place to help states that choose to further extend unemployment benefits because of those needs, because they're states like those you have mentioned, or because they have higher rates of unemployment among African Americans or other groups that need additional assistance. So the Secretary of Treasury and the Secretary of...
Senator Bernie Sanders was noting the difference between the two parties, since congressional Republicans in previous years have approved tax cuts for wealthy Americans. Bernie Sanders is making his case based on a budget proposal which promises universal pre-kindergarten, tuition-free community college. It also expands health care coverage through Medicare, creates pathways to citizenship for millions of immigrants in the country, and encourages states to adopt labor-friendly laws. But many Republicans said that the plan is loaded with unnecessary spending and tax increases. Senators Ron Wyden, Mark Warner, and Sherrod Brown have already released a draft framework aimed at ending incentives for companies to move operations out of the United States. Everyone, the key word for this video is Apple. Nearly 20 million were processed in the last month, potentially meaning that the delays are coming to an end. Usually, the Internal Revenue Service sends refunds within a 3-week window, once a tax return has been returned. Usually, the Internal Revenue Service sends refunds within a 3-week window once a tax return has been processed. Now we are in the month of September and millions are still without their tax returns. Usually, the Internal Revenue Service sends refunds within a 3-week window once a tax return has been processed. Now, we are in the month of September and millions of Americans are still without their tax refunds. The amount of tax returns processed by tax day for 2020 was down 10 million from the year before. In a total, 135.8 million returns were processed in 2021. The delay has been exacerbated by people unable to come into work. Many of the claims need to be hand-read, meaning excruciatingly slow turnover times for many cases. The Earned Income Tax Credit and Additional Child Tax Credit are also included in this, and with the latter affecting 90% of American households, American families can take advantage every month until December of this year by pocketing up to $300 from the child tax credit, as well as pursuing reimbursements from plus-up payments. And Californians are benefiting with the $1,000 thank you bonuses, and teachers are also getting $1,000 thank you payments. As the economy continues to fight off the financial effects from this crisis, there's been a groundswell to coax Washington and President Joe Biden to pass a fourth batch of support quickly. So everyone, do you support a fourth stimulus payment? Please leave your thoughts in the comment section below. So that's the end of the video for tonight, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me here today.